he was the best quarterback in the Senior Bowl. He automatically went from like 4th on my list to number 2.
And don't sleep on Sam Howell too, man. He's in the stable team, and we actually have another quarterback to develop. I mean, I wasn't a huge Sam Howell guy, but I think this is also a good opportunity for him as well. It's like 5th round pick, low risk. I mean, low risk, high reward. He could be a great quarterback, or it could be a career backup. At least we have one basically in our stable now, so I do like that. So
yeah, and as we're talking about bolstering your positional rooms, and moved us right to the topic. So the great segue is, is Sam Howell the future? And like you said, I wasn't the big a big Sam Howell fan either in college, just because I knew how much weapons that he had. I'll tell you one game that changed my mind, and if you haven't seen it, I would encourage you just to go watch every snap that he took in the Senior Bowl. He was the best quarterback in the Senior Bowl, and he totally flipped me from thinking, and I already had Matt Corral as my number 1. Like, there was nobody that was going to change that. I thought he was the best player in the country. He automatically went from like 4th on my list to number 2. Like, that's how good I thought he was in the Senior Bowl. And not only just playing, but just being a great teammate. He was very commanding on that offense versus the Bailey Zappies and the rest of those guys that were playing in the game as well. So
Ritter was pretty good.
Yeah, Desmond Ritter was a very good quarterback in that game. But I think kind of like the gap was like Sam Howell and then everybody else. Like, I think there was a clear gap there. So where he got picked, I think, was an absolute steal for you guys. And is he the future of this team if those other 2 quarterbacks we talked about are, not as good as what they perceive to be?
I think it's too early to tell, to be honest with you. I think we'll kind of see how it all shakes out. But I do know Rivera likes him. So basically, like, Rivera was talking about, there's like one, like, he would hint to the local media that there's one quarterback that he was truly interested in. Like, if he was around, I might get him wink, wink, kind of doing that kind of thing. And he was talking about Sam Howell, which is actually pretty awesome. So it's kind of cool that he got his guy. Like, I think the intention for this draft was to not draft a quarterback, to not cause any any uncertainties into Carson Wentz's mindset, because we saw what happened with Jalen Hurts going with Philadelphia as well. So basically, having this whole investment in a quarterback, I think it's a low risk, high reward. I think it would be awesome. I think it's a nice kind of way to kind of build him up, but we'll see how it shakes out. Like, if Carson Wentz has a good year, and Carson Wentz only 29, I mean, in my opinion, I would like it for Carson Wentz to be like, hit the ground running and throw 25 touchdowns this year, 30 touchdowns, and be our guy. Like, dream scenario for George Carm would be Carson Wentz kicks butt. We basically give him an extension. We kind of reduce his $28 million contract, because he has 2 more years of $28 million. If we can kind of reduce that and kind of like, kind of spread the cap out, we can re-sign McLaurin. We can kind of maybe get Sweat and Chase Young, re-sign both of those guys, and truly build a good team. And I like to build around him. If the con with Sam Howell is he's probably going to be on the bench this year. He might play next year. We'll see what happens with that. But remember, he's not a first round pick, so he only has 4 years on his contract. So
he was picked in the 5th round, right?
5th round, right? Yep. So 5th round. So if he's going to sit this year, right? So he only has 3 years left of his contract. Let's say Carson Wentz starts again next year. He's only have 2 years left, which isn't bad. But then we start getting into like that Kirk Cousins conversation. We had Kirk Cousins RG3, where it's like he starts playing, he has 1 good year, and it's like, crap. Do we sign him long term, or do we basically let him at free agency or franchise tag him? And it's just becoming a mess. So having him in the stable is a good plan. Hopefully we'll see him in preseason. I'll come back to you and we'll talk. We'll be in touch. We'll come back. We'll talk about it a little bit later on. But we'll see. I mean, at the same time, if Washington completely flames out and we get a top 10 pick, go big, go home, and try to find a good quarterback next year. We'll see what happens. Man. We'll see how it goes.
He's in a great situation, like I said, with 2 quarterbacks that have dealt with, their fair share of, outlooks on the negativity side of things. And, he's going to not only be able to learn from that, I treat my life, man. It's a balance. Like, I don't wake up every day expecting to be the happiest person, and I don't expect to be the most Debbie Downer person either. Like, I just want to be at peace. And I think you could give that lesson to Sam right away. Like, what it's like not to have the weapons in college. Once those 3 guys left, and Javonte Williams and Michael Carter and Diami Brown, once those guys left, it was like, man, my weapons are gone. I really don't have an excuse not to perform well. And he did not have as good as a year as he did previous. It wasn't bad, but he's already dealt with that controversy too. So now it's like, wow, I got who I think, and we'll get into this, I had Terry McLaurin as one of my top 5 quarterback or top 5 wide receivers this year.
Oh hell yeah! There you go.
And people are like, "What?" And I'm like, "Dude, just wait. He's gonna get his shine this year, and it's coming." So, but yeah, man, I love Sam Howell. After I saw that Senior Bowl game, that totally changed my mind and my whole outlook. It's, that was the best measuring stick for me. We could go into the combine and look at the measurables all day, but there's nothing like watching film on the guy, and he definitely has not a lot of things to tweak as a quarterback. He has great footwork. You already know about his arm. He's he's gonna be able to sling that thing down the field. Intermediate game needs a little bit of work, but they weren't asking him to do a lot of intermediate throws in college either. So
that's what I was going to say. His one knock is that the North Carolina offense is pretty simplified. It's not really like diverse. It's not really doesn't really have a lot of pro concepts. So he has the arm talent, but now he just has to speed up his processing, and hopefully that will be something that he grows into. And he could. I mean, sitting there on the bench for 1 year is the best thing to do. So
I'm all about it.
Yeah, I'm all about it. I think it's a great idea, and I think this is going to kind of help us out with our segue, I believe. But I love what Washington did, because a lot of people were kind of arguing, like, let's get Kyle Hamilton in the first round, let's get a defensive linebacker in the first round. I was like, dude, stock the cabinet on offense with offensive talent. Let's do this. Let's put, let's hook up Carson Wentz, put him in a position to succeed. And if that doesn't work, whoever is going to be the quarterback in 2023 is locked and loaded.